Glad you could join us. Now, in our first story, more than 2,100 people have been killed in road accidents this year. This represents an increment of 300 people compared to the same period last year. Executive Director for the National Road Safety Commission, May Obri-Abua, says the increase in the number of private vehicles and motorcycles involved is a matter of concern. I met with Ms. Obri-Abua in her office to go over the issues. 18,000 people have died in the past 10 years from road accidents. 66,000 people have suffered serious injuries. For most of these people, their plight is even more serious than death. Road accidents have become a concern, a matter of concern for most Ghanaians, especially around the Christmas period. Luckily, after the death of musician Ebony, President Akufo-Addo put together an interministerial committee with the Ministries of Interior, Transport and Roads and Highways to see to the curbing of the spate of road accidents and resultant deaths. As the year winds up, we are here in the offices of the National Road Safety Commission, one of the key figures, or one of the key organizations which spearhead education among other activities to reduce the number of road accidents on our roads. Executive Director May Obri-Abua has been kind enough to invite us to her office. We are going to speak to her and find out exactly how we can be safe, first of all, and what her office has been doing about these alarming numbers. Ma'am, good afternoon. Thanks for your time.
Good afternoon.
In the first place, take us through the year. What have the numbers been like from January to as recently as we can have them?
Okay, thank you. In fact, this year we have recorded quite a lot of road traffic crashes and also deaths and injuries. I have the statistics here, and it clearly shows that almost all the figures or the indices that we have, there were increases. And so I would just want to go through for all of us to know that when we talk about accidents or crashes, it's not just numbers also. It also goes beyond that. Those who have lost their loved ones, we can imagine what they've gone through, the trauma they've gone through, and the pain. And also not just that, those who have lost their fathers and mothers, probably they do not have anyone to look after them after this incident. So you go to the number of people who have been killed from January to now, we have over 2,118 people died this year. The same period last year, it was 1,862. So this shows clearly an increase of over 12%. If we go to the number of people who were injured, that is both serious and the light injuries. This year alone, 12,318 as at November. Last year, 10,922. So this one also, there was an increase of over 12%, 12.78%. Now, for when we want to look at the commercial vehicles and the private vehicles also, we want to see the differences. If we look at the number of vehicles that were involved, for the commercial vehicles, we had 7,691 of them. And then for private vehicles, 8,842. And comparatively to the previous year, that is last year, 2017, there was both of them, there were increases. That is 4.74% for commercial and then 9% for private. So in both cases, there were increases. Then if you come to the number of cases, that is the crashes that occurred, that were reported. This year alone, we had 12,396, and last year, 11,709. So like I said at the intro, this year has not been a good year for us.
If you look at the increases in numbers, you realize that private vehicles have increased at a higher rate. You mentioned 9%, and commercial vehicles increased by 4%. Do we know why the private vehicles in particular are engaging in more accidents?
Well, the private vehicles, you know, there are a lot of issues that comes up when it comes to crashes. Most of these accidents or crashes go with speeding And a lot of time, you can bear out with me when we are on the roads ourselves. We see how some of these cars maneuver or go wrongful overtaking, etc. And unfortunately, sometimes it's become very difficult for those of us who are supposed to do this road safety education. That's why we've always asked that, if possible, we can be heard always throughout the year on radio and TV, because that's the only way we can get them to hear the message. However, for the commercial vehicles, we go to the lorry parks or the lorry stations almost every time. That's our normal work that we do. We have interactions with them, so we are there most of the time. Another group of persons, the motorcycles, I didn't mention that, and it's alarming. This year alone, over 20,000 crashes involved motorcycles. Last year, it was about 18,600. So it also went up by about 7.96%. So you see motorcycles alone, over 20,000. If you add even the commercial and then the private together, it does not add up to the motorcycles. So crashes that are happening now are moving from the normal thing that we used to have. First, some years ago, maybe about 10 years ago, we used to have commercial vehicles being the most frequently, the vehicles that were involved frequently. And now it's shifted. They've become the least. Motorcycles some 10 years ago were the least. Now they've overtaken even the private vehicles. So there's a shift. And that is where we, from the statistics and then the analysis that we do over here, then it tells us from the data that we have how we should treat some of these things and where we should be focusing most on.
Tell us about these increasing numbers and the real reasons there. So a lot of efforts have been made this year, but why have we seen higher numbers? Is it that we didn't target them well enough for our efforts?
Road safety is multidisciplinary and then multi-sectorial. So it's not just us doing something that will resolve the issue. Every one of us, in fact, in Cree, you say it's my responsibility, it's your responsibility. We all have to come together to be able to bring down these crashes and accidents or the injuries that we have. For us as a commission, yes, we are doing what we can, but we can also do better in the sense that we can go further than just the lorry stations, etc. If we could do more adverts so that every time we are ahead, because you know the human being, if you just say something once, that time he listens to it, but he doesn't hear it again. The next time his old habits comes back. But if we continually do it and tell people the way to behave on the road, I think with time then they change their habits, should I say, and their actions. So we can also do better as a commission. Also, we have this other stakeholders. Road safety is not just about education, it also goes with enforcement. If we do all the education and then enforcement is weak, we can still see what we see on the roads. So as we do our bit, the police also should be doing their bit. And other, like the DVLA also do some kind of enforcement because of the role they play with our vehicles, roadworthiness, etc. So everybody has a part to play. And I know the police wants to go even ahead, not just with using the speed guns, which people have issues with, but go ahead with the speed cameras, etc., where it has nothing to do with the policeman, but you be captured, and then later you be sanctioned. So I know they are going that step. Also, we have the road agencies. They also have a part to play. With the roads, we have to ensure that they are safe, in the sense that potholes or unmaintained roads also cause crashes. And also very good roads also could cause crashes in the sense that if they are not well marked, in the night, people cannot see, they are speeding in the curve, they think they are going straight, and the next minute they meet another. So we all have a part to play. The drivers themselves also, the training we give to them is also very essential. You bear with me that if a doctor does not go to school, or somebody does not go to the medical school, you cannot call him a medical doctor. So, and he also needs to refresh himself as he goes along. It's the same with all other professions. And the driving profession is one of them. A lot of times we just relegate them at the background, saying that those who do not make it are drivers. But no, for us in the road safety, we think that drivers are very, very important, and therefore we need to let them go through some training. And that is one of the things that we have to do more about that. And then, so we've talked about enforcement and engineering and then education, yes. And then the other one is the emergency services. You know, nobody wants a crash to happen, but we are not immune to it. So should the crash occur, there should be a way of getting the victim safe to the hospital as quickly as possible. And all this comes with the ambulance service, the Red Cross, etc. If they are well-resourced, then we think that we can save lives also more. Your question was, how come this year maybe we've done poorly?
And especially since, if I may, so that if I can add this quick follow-up, almost every year we see an average of about 2,000 people pass away. And studies would show that, in fact, your director of communications earlier was telling me that between 90 and 95% of road accidents are caused by the human beings.
Yeah.
And you would agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Since we are in charge of education, is that not down to what we do? Or what is happening that we are not able to nip this in the bud?
Yeah, I agree with you that the human being or human error causes about 90 or so or more percent. But it's not just the human error, maybe the driver alone, but all of us. Even if the designer of the road does not do it properly, it's a human error. You understand? It's a human error. If we from our side also do not educate or give information so that people can accept it, maybe not rightly, we don't do it rightly, it's a human error. In the same way, if the police is supposed to ensure that he does the enforcement, and then he would not do it as he's supposed to, but let the people go, even when he sees overloaded truck, it's also a part of the human error. So when we talk about human error, a lot of time people sometimes would just put the blame on the drivers only, but all of us are part of it. That's why I said in tree that road safety, we all, and we are all human, and we all have the right to ensure that everybody, my neighbor, is safe. Yes, so that is what is causing that. If you look at the statistics this year, yes, we saw that for the commercial and then the private vehicles, yes, it's gone up. But the worry is the motorcycles. Can you imagine 20,000 of such motorcycles have been involved? That means there's something that we have to look at. And over the years, we have studied it and we have seen that the motorcycle influx into Ghana has increased. They are not supposed to use it for commercial purposes, and they are using it. And so the law is against it. And as a country, we have still not taken that decision yet. We are reviewing the LI, the 2180, but for that particular LI regulation, we still have to ensure that we get a consensus as a nation. If we say no, then as a nation we are saying no. We say yes, then we need to regulate them.
This has been a matter of debate in Parliament. I remember key figures in Parliament mentioning that when we are in Accra, we can simply make the conclusion that we can ban commercial motor vehicles. But when you go to some rural areas, it's a key form of transport you can't do without.
I agree to some extent, yes. Some areas, that is the only means of transport. I've been to some areas in the Volta region where pregnant people are put on the motorcycle and they are taken to hospital. Without it, they couldn't have gone. So yes, I agree. Certain areas, that is the only means. But if you come to Accra, I'm going to talk Accra, the city, the center, I don't see the reason why we should use the motorcycle here for commercial. When we have the Ayalolo, we have the Trotro, we have the taxi, and what have you. We have all of them here. So why should that one be encouraged? So we, as I know, nations are going, they are going through some reforms where they have high capacity buses or vehicles taking people around. Why do we now come back as a nation saying that we should encourage the motorcycle? But I agree with you also that we cannot be everywhere. And those areas that people are suffering, so what do we do about it? So that's why I said that we need a national debate on this, and then as a nation we take a decision the way to go.
Christmas is almost upon us, and we know that the numbers often go higher during the Christmas period. Now, having seen what the numbers are like now, what new thing are we seeing from the Road Safety Commission and its partners?
Thank you, and it's a great worry to us as a commission, because you said at the beginning His Excellency the President formed this committee, and we're supposed to ensure that we arrest the situation, and that is something that as a commission together with our stakeholders we have been working towards. This year we are forming teams on the major highways. We have told our regions if even we do not have, don't have the men, they should recruit people, give them training with the support of the police. And we have identified some 51 centers along the major highways where we want to see them. So as the police do the enforcement, then it's our responsibility as the National Road Safety to do the education for those who be applying that on those major highways.
How many people are you recruiting for this special exercise?
We are recruiting about 200 people to help with our normal regional staff to do this work for us.
Are these casual staff for the Christmas period only?
For now, yes. We want to do it from now to early part of mid-January and see how it works. And then we would continue. We would depend on other stakeholders, if we can get national service personnel and others, NAPCO and all others, will go to them so that we can recruit them. But for this particular one, we have the funds to get this number to work for us.
And how much is this costing?
This is costing us about 180,000 Ghana cedis. We have the police, we are also getting them along with them. So I think that if we invest in it and we do, we'll also be doing monitoring. We just don't leave them there from the head office level, even including the board members. We'll be doing monitoring along all the major hubs to see how it's working.
Right. Thank you very much, Ma'am Obriebwa, for granting us this time. But before we go, I would leave you to address our many viewers now and give them some basic safety driving tips. Yes, during basic safety tips as they go into the period, so that we can see a lower number. But before you do that, with all these efforts that are being put in place, can you assure us that we are going to see a lower number of deaths occurring in this Christmas period this year?
I want to assure, because that is my heart desire, so I want to assure all Ghanaians that the Commission, together with our ministry, our Honorable Minister, Kwekwe Siama, we are determined to ensure that we have a peaceful season, less the number of crashes that we recorded last year. The ministry, together with the other two ministries, that is Roads and Highways and Interior, we are all determined to ensure that this Christmas we have one that is less accidents than the one before, that is 2017.
But some would say that if you have seen an increased number and this committee was formed somewhere in February, it's already a failure on the part of the committee.
No, it's not a failure. You know, it was formed, we had to go through putting the packages together. And like I told you, we have formed these teams now, they are on the ground. So we hope that the December we will see less crashes. And then I said we are going through to January. We'll look at it, we would monitor it, and then also look at how we performed. And then if we have to make any changes, then we will do that so that we ensure that Ghanaians are safe. That is our mandate, and we have to ensure that it is done.
Thank you very much, Mayor Obriebwa, for allowing us into your office and for helping us out with this vital information. We've been speaking with the Executive Director for the National Road Safety Commission, May Obriyaba. My name is Daniel Daze. We'll take you back to the studio. Well, we're back in the studio now, and we'll stay a bit longer with this story because that was the national figure. So we want to get a feel of what is happening in the regions. Erastus Asari-Donko will be joining us from the Ashanti region shortly for that conversation. Let's take these important messages first. Still live on JoyNews desk, I am Daniel Dazi. We stay a bit more with issues having to do with road accidents. We've been joined by Erastus Asari-Donko. He's my colleague in the Ashanti region. He joins us via Skype. Erastus, what's been the situation this year as far as road accidents are concerned in the Ashanti region specifically?
So in the Ashanti region, I'm having the statistics in front of me now. And this year, 2,824 people died through road accidents. And when you compare that with the 2017 number of 1,061, that's a 19% increase in accidents. Now, the total number of vehicles involved shot from 3,041 to 3,906, and that is a 28% increase in the 2017 figure. The total number of pedestrians knocked down this year is 800, and we are talking about from January to November this year, and that's a 35% increase in the 2017 number of 592. Now, total number of persons killed, that is 361, and an appreciation of 40% as compared to 2017 number of 316. Then the last one, total number of persons injured, which is 2,824, which is a 39% increase in the 2017 number of 2,023. So, Daniel, quite an appreciable increases there, 19% for the total number of accidents and 39% of the number of persons killed as compared to that of 2017.
That's what the numbers are telling us. But do we know the drivers behind these figures? On the national scale, we are being told that private vehicles, more private vehicles, for instance, are involved in these accidents. It looks like the commercial vehicle drivers are driving more safer. But what are the drivers generally in the Ashanti region?
Well, so if I look at the figures now, commercial vehicles involved, we are talking about 1,988. And then private vehicles involved, 1,342. And then we had 576 motorbikes involved in these accidents. So definitely we're talking about more commercial vehicles being involved in these accidents more than privately owned vehicles.
And I'm sure that you've been covering some of these accidents in your news reportage. What's the general reaction of the people when numbers like these are churned out? Is there a heightened sense of safety as the Christmas festivities are upon us?
Well, indeed, when you look at these figures, they will just look like numbers to you. But then when you go on the ground and you see the number of people who are maimed, some of them have lost limbs, some of them are still being admitted at the Fanochi Teaching Hospital as we speak, with some of them, their legs hanged up in the air and all that, then it tells you that it's just a numbers game. It's something that affects families. People have lost dads, have lost their moms, we have lost little children to these accidents. So it's not a joke matter. If you have more than 1,000 people dying, talking about breadwinners for separate families, then it's not a joke at all.
Thanks, Erastus, for those updates from the Ashanti region. We shall go to the central region now, where Richard Kojo Nyako is joining us via phone. Richard, what's the situation in the central region?
As a result of road traffic crashes are huge as compared to that of last year. The figures have not been made known, but we have a rough idea of the estimates from the National Road Safety Commission, the regional branch. And a lot of these road crashes were recorded on the Cape Coast Winneba Accra Road, not even a week passes without an accident, and the numbers are huge. The number of injuries, the fractures, and then others. And that was the reason why the Winnipeg Trauma Specialist Hospital was sited there to take care of these emergencies that occur on the road. The Road Safety Commission here have been working very well to ensure that they reduce the numbers, but try as they do, the numbers keep rising by the day. And so they are engaged in some advocacies and some sensitization on the various groups. So this morning they are at the route, the Morito boot area. Others are also on the highway. They are ensuring that the drivers do the needful, or they do the right things on the road. And so that's really what is happening here.
Thanks, Richard Kojonyako, for that update. We'll be getting more from you as the day progresses.